Europe is full of famous cities: Paris, Rome, Amsterdam, Barcelona, the ones we dream of visiting and fill our Instagram feeds with. But what about the places that don't make the brochures? The hidden gems tucked away in valleys, perched on cliffs, or nestled along rivers, where time moves slower, the food is richer, and the air holds centuries of stories? In this series, we're diving deep into the lesser-known towns of Europe, places you've likely never heard of but absolutely need to experience. These aren't just travel destinations, they're timeless pockets of culture, mystery, and jaw-dropping beauty. So whether you're a curious traveler, a dreamer planning your next adventure, or someone who just loves discovering the unseen, you're in the right place. Let's begin our journey with 7 stunning European towns you've probably never heard of, but after today, you'll never forget. 1. Hallstatt, Austria. Nestled between the glistening Hallstatt Sea and the towering Dachstein Alps, Hallstatt looks like it was plucked straight from a fairy tale. Imagine cobbled streets lined with 16th-century Alpine houses, flower-filled balconies, and the gentle chime of church bells echoing through the mountains. The entire village hugs the lakeshore, and reflections of colorful rooftops dance across the water. But here's the twist: Hallstatt isn't just a pretty place. It has a history that stretches back more than 7,000 years. It's actually one of the oldest still inhabited settlements in Europe. The town gets its name from the Celtic word hal, meaning salt. That's right, this peaceful paradise was once a bustling center of salt mining, so valuable it earned the nickname the White Gold of the Alps. In fact, the Hallstatt culture, a significant prehistoric civilization, was named after this very town. You can even visit the world's oldest salt mine here, complete with wooden slides used by ancient miners. And yes, there's a bone house. No, really. Behind the town's beautiful church lies a small ossuary where over 1,200 artistically painted human skulls are stacked neatly, a local tradition dating back centuries. If you visit, go early in the morning or during off-peak seasons. This town is so charming. A Chinese replica was literally built to mimic it. But nothing beats the original. 2. Alberobello, Italy. In southern Italy, in the region of Puglia, lies a village like no other, Alberobello. Picture tiny white houses with conical stone roofs, looking like something out of a whimsical Dr. Seuss book or a Hobbit movie. These houses are called trulli, and they're built entirely without mortar. Why? Legend says the people built them that way so they could be quickly dismantled when tax collectors came. That's right. This entire town is a monument to creative rebellion. But there's more. The trulli's odd architecture actually has practical benefits. The thick limestone walls and domed roofs help keep the interiors cool in the scorching summer heat and cozy in the winter. Walking through Alberobello feels like stepping into a fairy tale maze. The old quarter, called Rione Monte, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 1,500 trulli tightly packed together on sloping hills. Each one is adorned with ancient symbols painted on the roofs, some Christian, some pagan, and some still unexplained. Locals still live in many of these houses, and some have been transformed into shops, museums, and even cozy hotels. You can grab a glass of local Primitivo wine, sit in the shade of a trullo, and just take it all in. Alberobello might be tiny, but it's proof that the most unforgettable places come in the smallest packages. 3. Dinan, France. Now, let's head to Brittany, France, where the medieval town of Dinan waits like a living postcard. You don't stumble upon Dinan, you discover it. Surrounded by thick stone walls and filled with half-timbered houses, steep cobbled lanes, and a castle, Dinan hasn't changed much in centuries. And that's exactly the charm. At its heart is the Rue du Gerzoul, a steep, winding street that leads from the town center down to the River Rance. Walking it is like stepping through a portal to the 14th century. You'll pass artisan shops, bakeries wafting with the scent of fresh kouign-amann, and cafes that spill out onto uneven sidewalks. But Dinan isn't just a medieval museum piece. It's alive with culture. Every 2 years, it hosts the Fête de Remparts, a full medieval festival complete with costumes, jousting, and even mead drinking. The locals go all out, and for one weekend, you're not just visiting the past, you're living it. Climb the town's bell tower, built in the 15th century, and you'll be rewarded with sweeping views of the entire valley. Or take a boat down the river to see the ramparts from below, stone giants guarding a town that time forgot. Dinan proves that history isn't something you just learn, it's something you feel in your bones. 4. Kotor, Montenegro. If Hallstatt is Austria's lakefront gem, then Kotor is Montenegro's Adriatic crown jewel. Yet, despite its jaw-dropping beauty, Kotor remains criminally underrated. This fortified town sits at the end of Europe's southernmost fjord, a winding bay flanked by dramatic limestone cliffs. Think of it as the Balkans' answer to Norway, but with Mediterranean vibes. Inside the walls, Kotor is a medieval maze of narrow alleys, small squares, and Venetian architecture. Cats wander freely through the streets, so much so that they've become unofficial town mascots. There's even a cat museum here. But the real draw? The hike up to the castle of San Giovanni. It's a steep climb, over 1,300 stone steps, but the view from the top is nothing short of legendary. The town, the bay, the boats, the mountains, it all unfolds below you in breathtaking silence. Kotor is also a gateway to the entire Bay of Kotor region, home to small fishing villages like Paris and the floating islet church of Our Lady of the Rocks. It's a place where the sea kisses history, and every sunset feels cinematic. 5. Giethoorn, Netherlands. You've heard of Venice, but have you heard of Giethoorn? This dreamy Dutch village has no roads, only canals, bike paths, and arched wooden bridges. It's often called the Venice of the North, but that doesn't do it justice. Here, residents travel by boat or bike, and the only sounds you'll hear are the rustle of wind through willows and the soft gliding of water under long, narrow ponds. Giethoorn is nestled in the Weerabbenweeden National Park, and everything here seems to float. Cottages with thatched roofs, flower-filled gardens, even the local cafes that hover at water's edge. The town was founded in the 13th century by peat diggers, and its waterways were originally dug to transport peat. Over the centuries, those canals turned Giethoorn into the quiet paradise it is today. Visitors can rent whisper boats, electric-powered skiffs, to explore the canals, or take a guided tour and hear the town's rich stories. But the real magic comes when you stop moving. Sit under a willow tree, sip Dutch coffee, and watch the water world go by. 6. Bled, Slovenia. At first glance, Lake Bled looks like a painting, a turquoise lake, a tiny island with a white church, and a castle perched high on a cliff. But it's real, and it's spectacular. Bled is a small Slovenian town that wraps around the lake like a necklace. It's peaceful, pristine, and surrounded by the Julian Alps. But the crown jewel? That island in the middle of the lake. You can reach it by a pletna, a traditional wooden boat rowed by hand, like a Venetian gondola. On the island, climb the 99 stone steps to the Church of the Assumption. Local legend says if you ring the church bell and make a wish, it will come true. Then there's Bled Castle, one of the oldest in Slovenia, offering panoramic views of the lake and beyond. It's like standing in a dream with the Alps as your backdrop. And don't leave without trying Bled cream cake, a local dessert layered with puff pastry and rich vanilla custard. It's light, fluffy, and the perfect end to a perfect visit. 7. Český Krumlov, Czech Republic. Our final stop today is Český Krumlov, a fairy tale town in the South Bohemian region of the Czech Republic. Winding streets, colorful Baroque buildings, a river that loops like a ribbon, and a massive castle that towers over it all. This is Český Krumlov. The Vltava River curves through the town, and you can float lazily down it in a canoe while taking in the views. Above, the 13th century castle dominates the skyline with its painted tower and sprawling gardens. It's the second largest castle complex in the country after Prague Castle. But unlike Prague, Český Krumlov is quiet. It's the kind of place where you can hear the creak of old wooden doors, the clink of glasses in cozy taverns, and the sound of folk music drifting from a town square. The entire historic center is a UNESCO site, and every corner reveals a new surprise: hidden courtyards, art galleries, puppeteer shops, and cozy cafes with chimney cake and mulled wine. 8. Rothenburg ob der Tauber, Germany. Step into a living fairy tale. Rothenburg ob der Tauber, in Bavaria, is perhaps the most perfectly preserved medieval town in Germany. Walled fortifications, cobbled streets, and timbered houses that lean into one another like old friends. This place looks like a movie set. In fact, it's inspired countless films and even Disney's Pinocchio. The town's name means Red Fortress above the Tauber, and true to it, Rothenburg sits perched on a plateau above the Tauber River. Its fortifications are fully intact, and you can walk the entire wall, a roughly 2-mile stroll with epic views of tiled roofs and church steeples. The central square, Marktplatz, is surrounded by pastel buildings, clock towers, and cafes serving bratwurst and spiced glühwein. Just around the corner, you'll find Kathy Wolfart's Christmas Village, open year-round, offering handmade ornaments, nutcrackers, and a year-round festive spirit. And if you like a little drama with your history, visit during the Meistertrunk Festival, which reenacts a legendary moment when the town was saved from destruction by a brave mayor and a massive tankard of wine. Rothenburg is a time capsule of charm and a must-see for lovers of medieval magic. 9. Monsanto, Portugal. High on a rocky hill in central Portugal, the village of Monsanto clings to boulders like it was carved by giants. Houses here aren't just built around stones, they're built into them. Giant granite rocks form walls, rooftops, even entire facades. One home is literally squeezed between two car-sized boulders, the roof barely peeking out. This surreal architecture is what gives Monsanto its nickname, the most Portuguese village in Portugal. In 1938, the country held a competition to find a town that best represented its traditional character. Monsanto won. The town is tiny, with steep, narrow lanes winding between stone cottages, red-tiled roofs, and terraces that open to stunning views of the plains below. At the top of the hill stands the Castle of Monsanto, a weather-worn fortress with panoramic views stretching for miles in every direction. There are no chain stores, no billboards, and barely any cars. Just timelessness. Shepherds still roam the hills. Elderly women sell local cheese from their doorsteps. And at sunset, the entire village glows with warm, golden light. Monsanto isn't just a village, it's a living sculpture. 10. Piran, Slovenia. On Slovenia's tiny Adriatic coast lies a town that feels like a piece of Italy, but without the crowds. Piran is a mosaic of red rooftops, marble-paved squares, and twisting alleyways that tumble down toward the sea. It's built on a narrow peninsula, so no matter where you are, the ocean is always just around the corner. Once part of the Venetian Republic, Piran still carries that romantic Italian flair. Pastel buildings with shutters, stone balconies, and charming piazzas. The main square, Tartini Square, is named after Giuseppe Tartini, a Baroque violinist born here, and it's watched over by a statue of him mid-bow. Climb to St. George's Church, perched on the hill above the town, for breathtaking views of the coast, the sea, and even Croatia on a clear day. The town walls still stand too, and if you walk them at dusk, you'll catch the best sunset show in Slovenia. Seafood is king here. Octopus salad, fresh mussels, and risotto nero, served harborside with local white wine. Piran is elegant, laid-back, and rich with history. A perfect blend of Slavic soul and Italian charm. 11. Ainsa, Spain. Deep in the Pyrenees of northern Spain, where the air smells of pine and the mountains whisper old legends, lies Ainsa, a medieval village that seems to rise from the stone itself. Its entire historic center is built from local rock, homes, churches, even streets, all in muted gray that contrasts beautifully with the vivid green of the surrounding landscape. At the heart of Ainsa is the massive Plaza Mayor, a perfectly preserved square lined with arcaded stone buildings and cozy taverns. It's quiet, shadowy, and cinematic. From here, climb to the old castle of Ainsa, which dates back to the 11th century. From the ramparts, you'll get panoramic views of the Pyrenean foothills, rolling rivers, and red-tiled rooftops below. But Ainsa isn't just beautiful, it's mythical. Local legend says the village was founded after a miracle during a 9th century battle, when a flaming cross appeared in the sky, leading Christians to victory. That cross now graces the town's coat of arms. In the evenings, Ainsa glows under lantern light, with music drifting from stone alleys and locals sipping wine on quiet terraces. It's peaceful, powerful, and utterly unforgettable. 12. Rain, Norway. If you've ever wondered what it's like to live inside a postcard, visit Rain. Located above the Arctic Circle in Norway's Lofoten Islands, Rain is a fishing village where red cabins perch on stilts over turquoise fjords and snow-dusted mountains rise dramatically behind them. This town is raw beauty, nature at its most majestic, the kind of place where the northern lights dance above your head and orcas occasionally cruise past your cabin window. Rain is tiny, home to just a few hundred residents, but it's become a pilgrimage for photographers and nature lovers. The surrounding scenery is unreal: jagged peaks, mirror-still waters, and skies that change by the minute. One of the best views in all of Norway comes from the Rienbringen hike, a steep but short climb that rewards you with panoramic views of the village and surrounding fjords. From above, Rain looks like it was handcrafted with precision and passion. And if you want to go full Nordic, stay in a Rorbu, a traditional red fisherman's cabin now converted into cozy lodging. Think hot coffee, thick blankets, and views for days. Rain is solitude, serenity, and soul-shaking beauty. 13. Gruyères, Switzerland. You know the cheese. Now meet the town. Gruyères, in the Swiss canton of Fribourg, is everything you'd expect from a storybook alpine village. Flower-decked chalets, rolling green hills, cowbells echoing in the distance, and of course, cheese. But Gruyères isn't just about dairy. It's a medieval village with a castle, cobbled streets, and a quirky surprise: the H.R. Geiger Museum, showcasing the dark, surrealist art of the man who designed the alien creature. So yeah, cheese and sci-fi nightmares, only in Switzerland. The town center is traffic-free and framed by mountains. It's walkable in under an hour, but you'll want to linger. Visit the Gruyères Castle, dating back to the 13th century, with turrets, tapestries, and views that stretch all the way to the Alps. And of course, eat. Try a traditional fondue moiti-moiti, made with Gruyère and Vacherin cheeses, or raclette with potatoes, pickles, and cured meats. Gruyères is small, scenic, and full of unexpected flavor. 14. Sighisoara, Romania. Our final stop in Part 2 is a town with color, character, and a little bit of creepiness: Sighisoara, Romania. This UNESCO-listed town in Transylvania is one of the best-preserved medieval citadels in Europe. Its winding cobblestone streets, rainbow-colored buildings, and fortified towers feel like a film set, and indeed, it inspired countless vampire tales. That's not an accident. Sighisoara is the birthplace of Vlad the Impaler, the real-life figure who inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. You can even visit the house where he was born, now a small museum and restaurant. But beyond the spooky legends, Sighisoara is just plain beautiful. Its clock tower, rising above the town like a proud sentinel, is a masterpiece of 14th-century craftsmanship. Climb to the top for panoramic views of red roofs, forested hills, and distant Carpathian peaks. There's also the covered staircase, a wooden passageway that leads up to a church and school on the hill, a relic of medieval engineering designed to protect townsfolk from snow and enemies alike. Sighisoara is color, history, mystery, and surprisingly cozy. 15. Tenby, Wales. Clinging to the edge of the Pembrokeshire coastline, Tenby is a technicolor dream. Its pastel-colored houses line the cliffside like a seaside painting. Narrow medieval alleyways wind through the town, opening up to golden beaches and the Atlantic beyond. It's peaceful, quirky, and full of unexpected character. Tenby began as a fortified medieval port. Today, you can still walk parts of the original town walls and climb up to the 13th century St. Mary's Church, one of the largest in Wales. The harbor is the heart of it all. At low tide, you can stroll across the sand to St. Catherine's Island, home to a 19th century fort that once served as a zoo, of all things. But Tenby isn't just scenic, it's full of charm. Fish and chip shops, independent bookstores, old-timey pubs with names like the Buccaneer. And if you come in summer, the town hosts the Tenby Arts Festival, where music, poetry, and visual arts take over the streets. Whether you're here for the beaches, the seafood, or just a slow stroll with a sea breeze, Tenby is pure coastal magic. 16. Gjirokastër, Albania. Rising from the hills of southern Albania, Gjirokastër is a stone city steeped in drama. Known as the City of Stone, its Ottoman-style houses are built with slate rooftops and stacked like a staircase into the mountainside. From above, it looks like a fortress town carved from a single block of granite. It's no surprise that Gjirokastër is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its old bazaar is a tangle of cobbled lanes, artisan workshops, and the scent of roasting lamb drifting from family-run restaurants. You'll find craftsmen still hammering copper by hand, just as they've done for centuries. The city is crowned by Gyrocaster Castle, one of the largest in the Balkans. Inside, there's a weapons museum, eerie underground tunnels, and an old U.S. Air Force plane that mysteriously crash-landed here in the Cold War era. Gyrocaster is also the birthplace of famed author Ismail Kaderi, and his family home is now a museum. Visit, and you'll understand the poetic spirit that clings to every wall in this town. Gyrocaster isn't polished. It's raw, historic, and real. A town with soul, shadow, and stories. 17. Porvoo, Finland. Just an hour east of Helsinki, the town of Porvoo feels like stepping into a quiet watercolor painting. Porvoo is one of Finland's oldest towns, dating back to the 14th century. It's best known for its bright red riverside warehouses, originally painted to impress a visiting king, and its collection of colorful wooden houses that cascade up gentle hills. The town's charm lies in its contrasts. Modern cafes and art galleries blend seamlessly with 600-year-old cobbled streets and antique bookshops. At the center is Porvoo Cathedral, a stoic stone structure that's watched over the town for centuries. Porvoo has long been a haven for writers and artists. Poet J.L. Ruberry, who wrote the Finnish national anthem, lived here. His former home, now a museum, serves up his favorite dessert, Ruberry tort, a rum-spiked almond cake. If you visit in winter, snow drapes the town in silence. In summer, the air smells of strawberries and pine. And year-round, there's a peace here that settles deep into your bones. Porvoo doesn't shout. It hums. 18. Boza, Sardinia, Italy. Far from the flashy beaches of the Costa Smeralda lies Boza, a rainbow-hued town on Sardinia's western coast, where pastel buildings climb the hills like a painter's brushstrokes. Boza is built along the Temo River, Sardinia's only navigable river, and overlooked by the 12th century Malaspina Castle. The town's charm is immediate. Laundry flaps from wrought iron balconies. Boats bob gently on the water. And the old quarter, Sa Costa, is a maze of steep alleys and secret courtyards. Historically, Boza was known for its leather tanning industry, and you can still see remnants of the old tanneries along the riverbanks. Today, it's more known for its wine, especially the sweet Malvasia di Boza, best enjoyed at sunset with a view of the hills. And if you want the beach, Boza Marina is just minutes away, with golden sands and turquoise waters, usually with no crowds in sight. Boza is warm, vibrant, and full of character, the kind of place where time forgets to hurry. 19. Trogir, Croatia. Between Split and Šibenik, on Croatia's sun-drenched Dalmatian coast, sits the small island town of Trogir, a living museum surrounded by the sea. Linked to the mainland by a bridge, Trogir is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 2,000 years of history. Romans, Byzantines, Venetians, they've all left their mark. The result is a town packed with Romanesque, Gothic, and Renaissance architecture in every direction. At its center is the Cathedral of St. Lawrence, a masterpiece with a portal carved by a 13th century sculptor named Radovan. His name is still etched in the stone. Climb the bell tower for sweeping views of red rooftops and the shimmering Adriatic. But the real joy of Trogir is getting lost. Its streets twist like a labyrinth, revealing quiet courtyards, ivy-covered walls, and cafes tucked behind ancient arches. Outside the old town, you'll find beachside promenades, seafood taverns, and boat tours to nearby islands. Its history, sea breeze, and serenity all rolled into one. Trogir is proof that small can be mighty. 20. Frigiliana, Spain. High in the Andalusian hills, overlooking the Mediterranean, lies Frigiliana, a whitewashed dream of a town. It's part of Spain's famous Pueblos Blancos, or white villages, but even among them, Frigiliana stands out. Narrow streets twist through houses painted in brilliant white, with doors in every shade of blue and pots overflowing with geraniums and bougainvillea. Frigiliana has Moorish roots, and the town still holds onto that legacy. The old Mujar Quarter is a labyrinth of mosaics, arches, and hidden nooks, all with views that stretch from olive groves to the sea. There's no rush here, no noise, just the sound of sandals on stone and wind through jasmine vines. The town is also home to one of Spain's best sugarcane syrups. Miel de cana, still made the traditional way. Pour it over fried eggplant slices for a local delicacy. At golden hour, Frigiliana glows. And if you stay into the evening, you'll hear Spanish guitars echo from windows and clinking glasses from candlelit terraces. 21. Viscri, Romania. Our last stop today is as humble as it is historic. Viscri, a tiny village in Transylvania that has quietly enchanted travelers and even royalty. With just a few hundred residents, Viscri feels like a step back in time. Dirt roads, horse carts, pastel cottages with wooden gates and hand-painted patterns. It's peaceful, pristine, and proudly preserved. But what put Viscri on the map was its biggest fan, King Charles III, who bought and restored a traditional house here through his foundation. He called it a place of soul, and after visiting, you'll understand why. The town is centered around its fortified church, a 12th century Saxon structure that has survived everything from invaders to neglect. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the best preserved of its kind. Life in Viscri moves at a whisper. Locals still bake bread in communal ovens, and blacksmiths still forge tools by hand. It's not flashy, but it's unforgettable. 22. Iguisheim, France. Tucked in the Alsace wine region of northeastern France, Iguisheim looks like it was sketched by a storybook illustrator. The town is built in concentric circles, with narrow cobbled streets winding in a perfect spiral around a central square. The houses? Pure charm, timber-framed, brightly painted, and draped in cascading flowers during the spring and summer months. Iguisheim is one of France's plus beaux villages, or most beautiful villages, and it's not hard to see why. Every angle is photogenic. Every corner smells of wine, bread, and blooming geraniums. Speaking of wine, Iguisheim is the beating heart of Alsace's winemaking tradition. Its surrounding hills are lined with vineyards, producing some of the region's best whites, especially Gewürztraminer and Riesling. You can sample them at family-run wine cellars tucked into 17th century homes. The town is also known as the birthplace of Pope Leo IX, and his statue stands proudly in the square. But what truly makes Iguisheim special is its atmosphere. You don't rush here. You stroll, sip, listen to the birds, and watch the sun light up the flower-filled windows of houses that have stood for centuries. 23. Berat, Albania. Welcome to Berat, the city of 1,000 windows. Built into the side of a mountain along the Osum River, Berat is one of the oldest cities in Albania and one of its most visually stunning. White Ottoman-era houses stack up the hillside like dominoes, their symmetrical windows peering out like curious eyes. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, Berat offers a unique mix of architectural and cultural history. The lower town is full of elegant 18th and 19th century homes, while the upper town, Kala, is crowned by a massive hilltop fortress still inhabited by local families. Within the castle walls, you'll find the Onufri Museum, housed in a 13th century church and named after Albania's most famous icon painter. His bright, dramatic religious art is on full display. Berat is also known for its religious harmony. Mosques and churches stand side by side, a reflection of Albania's centuries-old tradition of peaceful coexistence. Wander the Mangalam and Gorica quarters, cross the ancient stone bridge, or sip Turkish coffee in a shaded courtyard while admiring the reflection of the town's 1,000 windows dancing on the river. 24. Kotar Bay's Perist, Montenegro. In the serene embrace of Montenegro's Bay of Kotar lies Perist, a town so beautiful it barely feels real. Unlike the better-known Kotar nearby, Perist is quiet, almost secretive. Its 16 Baroque palaces and 19 churches hint at a golden past when Perist was a naval powerhouse during the Venetian era. Today, it feels frozen in time. Its waterfront promenade is lined with crumbling stone buildings, ivy-covered walls, and old sailors' mansions. Locals sit on benches, trading stories under the soft hum of lapping waves. But the real magic lies just offshore, two tiny islets that float on the bay, Sveti Dord, St. George, and Gospa od Skrupjila, Our Lady of the Rocks. The latter is an artificial island created over centuries by sailors dropping stones into the sea, a ritual still honored today. You can take a boat to visit the island's Blue Dome Church, filled with paintings, silver plaques, and even a 17th-century tapestry embroidered with strands of human hair. Paris is not a place you rush through. It's a place you feel. 25. Civita di Bagneregio, Italy. Known as the Dying Town, Civita di Bagneregio in central Italy seems to defy gravity and time. Perched atop a crumbling volcanic hill, accessible only by a pedestrian footbridge, Civita is slowly fading into the clouds. Erosion has eaten away at its base for centuries, leaving behind an isolated village that looks like it floats above the valley. But step inside, and you'll find one of the most enchanting places in Italy. Stone houses with flower boxes, silent piazzas, and medieval archways. No cars, no noise, just the echo of your own footsteps and the occasional church bell. Founded by the Etruscans over 2,500 years ago, Civita is now home to only a handful of permanent residents. But don't let its size fool you. It has soul in spades. The views of the surrounding Valle dei Calanchi are breathtaking, especially at sunrise or dusk when the town glows like amber. Eat at a family-run trattoria, explore the ancient passageways, and watch as clouds drift below the town like a sea of mist. Civita is hauntingly beautiful, a love letter to time, memory, and quiet resistance. 26. České Kamenice, Czech Republic. Nestled between Bohemian Switzerland and the Alsatian Mountains, České Kamenice is a hidden jewel waiting to be found. This charming Czech town offers a delightful mix of Renaissance, Baroque, and Gothic architecture, all set against a backdrop of rolling hills and dramatic sandstone cliffs. The town square, with its fountain, 16th-century church, and brightly colored facades, feels like something from a children's fairy tale. And surrounding it, winding alleys lead to quaint courtyards, peaceful gardens, and quiet cafes serving hearty Czech fare. Nature lovers will fall in love with the nearby Bohemian Switzerland National Park, home to surreal rock formations, deep canyons, and the iconic Prevsika Brana, Europe's largest natural sandstone arch. České Kamenice is also a great jumping-off point for exploring historic railway routes, forest trails, and even underground bunkers from the Cold War. Small, scenic, and soaked in history, this is one of those towns where the journey is as rich as the destination. 27. Ronda, Spain. Few towns can compete with the drama of Ronda. Set atop a deep gorge in the Andalusian hills, Ronda is split in two by the El Taha Canyon, with the famous Puente Nuevo, New Bridge, arching across it like a stone thread between worlds. The views from the bridge are dizzying. Below, the Guadalquivir River carves through sheer cliffs. Above, whitewashed buildings cling to the edges like birds' nests. It's one of the most jaw-dropping sights in all of Spain. But Ronda is more than a view. It's one of the oldest towns in Spain, with roots going back to the Celts. You'll find Moorish palaces, Arab baths, and the Plaza de Toros, one of Spain's oldest bullrings. The town is steeped in art and literature, too. Hemingway and Orson Welles both found inspiration here, and you can feel it, especially at golden hour, when the cliffs glow and the air buzzes with Spanish guitar from a hidden courtyard. Ronda is poetry in stone, majestic, mysterious, unforgettable.